woke up to the sound of chaos outside. The world as I knew it was gone, replaced by a bleak and horrifying reality. Everywhere I looked, I saw destruction and despair. The once beautiful city I called home was now a wasteland of rubble and ash. The cause of this apocalypse was a virus that had swept across the globe. It spread rapidly, infecting and killing people in its wake. No one knew where it came from or how to stop it. Governments and institutions crumbled, and the world descended into chaos. That I was one of the lucky few who managed to survive. But survival was a daily struggle in this new world. Resources were scarce, and danger lurked around every corner. I had to be careful and smart if I wanted to make it through each day. The virus had turned many people into mindless, flesh-eating monsters. They roamed the streets, attacking anyone in their path. I learned quickly how to defend myself, using whatever weapons I could find or make. But the zombies weren't the only threat. There were other survivors out there, some of whom were more dangerous than the undead. They would kill without hesitation for a can of food or a bottle of water. Despite the odds, I refused to give up. I held on to hope that one day, things would get better. That maybe there was a cure out there, or that someone would find a way to rebuild society. For now, I continued to fight for my survival in this terrifying new world. Each day was a battle, but I refused to give up. I was determined to make it through and see another day, no matter what horrors lay ahead. As I journeyed through this new world, I encountered other survivors. Some were friendly and willing to work together, while others were distrustful and hostile. It was difficult to know who to trust, but I knew that I needed allies if I was going to make it through this apocalypse. One day, I came across a small group of survivors who seemed different from the others. They had created a community, working together to build shelter and grow food. They had a leader, a wise and charismatic woman named Sophia, who had managed to keep her group safe and thriving. Sophia welcomed me into her community, and I was amazed at what they had accomplished in this apocalyptic world. They had found a way to create a sense of normalcy amidst the chaos, and it was inspiring to see. Under Sophia's leadership, we set out on a mission to find a possible cure for the virus. We had heard rumors of a research facility that may have the information we needed, but it was located in a dangerous part of the city. Despite the risks, we set out on our journey. We faced many challenges along the way, including zombie hordes and dangerous survivors who would stop at nothing to take what we had. But we were determined, and eventually, we made it to the research facility. It was heavily guarded, but with our combined skills, we managed to infiltrate the facility and retrieve the information we needed. It wasn't a cure, but it was a start. The information we had found gave us hope that we could one day find a way to stop the virus and rebuild society. As we returned to Sophia's community, I felt a sense of hope for the first time since the apocalypse began. I knew that there were others out there who were working towards a better future, and that together, we could make it through this horror-apocalyptic world. As we made our way back to Sophia's community with the valuable information, we realized that we were being followed. It was a group of survivors, armed and dangerous, who had been trailing us for some time. We quickened our pace, but they caught up to us and a fight broke out. We were outnumbered, but we fought with all our might. Sophia's leadership and my fighting skills kept us alive, but it was a close call. In the aftermath of the fight, we discovered that the group that had been following us was led by a former scientist from the research facility. He had been experimenting with the virus, trying to create a cure, but his experiments had gone horribly wrong. He had created a new breed of zombie, stronger and more intelligent than any we had encountered before. These zombies could think, plan, and strategize, and they were even more dangerous than the mindless ones. The scientist had been tracking us, hoping to retrieve the information we had found, so he could use it to perfect his virus. But we had thwarted his plans, and now he was furious. We knew that we had to take action before the scientist and his new breed of zombies could do any more damage. We gathered our weapons and prepared for a final battle. The fight was intense and grueling, but we emerged victorious. We had defeated the scientist and his zombie army, but the victory came at a great cost. Many of our comrades had been lost, and our community was left reeling from the aftermath. As we buried our fallen comrades, I realized that this apocalypse had changed me forever. It had taught me the value of survival and the importance of community. I had faced unimaginable horrors, but I had also discovered the strength and resilience of the human spirit. The journey ahead would not be easy, but with my newfound sense of purpose and the support of my community, I was ready to face whatever horrors this horror-apocalyptic world threw my way. After defeating the scientist and his zombie army, our community felt a sense of relief, but it was short-lived. We soon discovered that the new breed of zombies had left behind a virus that was even deadlier than the previous strain. People began to get sick, and soon, we realized that the virus was spreading rapidly through our community. It was worse than we had feared, and we knew that we had to act fast if we were going to survive. We searched for a cure, but it was elusive. The virus seemed to mutate constantly, making it difficult to develop a vaccine. Many of our friends and loved ones succumbed to the illness, and it was only a matter of time before we too would fall victim. As the days passed, the situation grew more dire. The virus had mutated again, and now the infected were turning into something even more terrifying than the zombies we had faced before. They were becoming hybrid creatures, part human, part zombie, with a hunger for flesh that was insatiable. The hybrid creatures were faster, stronger, and more intelligent than any zombies we had ever encountered. They could communicate with one another, and they seemed to be working together to take down our community. It was a nightmare come true, and we were out of options. We had to make a last stand, and we knew that the odds were not in our favor. We gathered all the weapons and supplies we could find, and prepared for the final battle. It was a fight for our lives, and we knew that there was no turning back. The battle was intense and gruesome. The hybrid creatures were relentless, and they seemed to be multiplying by the minute. It was a losing battle, but we fought with all our might. As the sun began to set, we knew that this was the end. We had fought bravely, but we were no match for the hybrid creatures. In the final moments, I thought about all that I had lost, all that I had gained, and all that I had learned in this horror-apocalyptic world. It had been a journey of survival and horror, but also of hope and resilience. As the hybrid creatures closed in, I closed my eyes, ready to face whatever came next. As we stood in the aftermath of the battle, catching our breath and taking stock of our losses, we heard a faint sound in the distance. It was a low growl, unlike anything we had ever heard before. And then, suddenly, we heard a chorus of growls, getting louder and closer by the second that we looked at each other in horror, realizing that our victory had been short-lived. The sound was coming from beyond the city walls, and it could only mean one thing: a new horde of hybrid creatures was approaching. We braced ourselves for another battle, knowing that our fight was far from over. But as the horde drew nearer, we saw something that made our blood run cold. Amidst the snarling, mutated beasts, we saw a figure, tall and imposing, leading the pack. It was unlike anything we had ever seen before, with glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws. And as it stepped into the light, we realized with a shock that it was not a hybrid creature at all. It was something far worse, something beyond our wildest nightmares. Our hearts sank as we realized that our battle had only just begun, and that this new enemy was far more dangerous than anything we had faced before. The audience leans forward in anticipation, wondering what will happen next. Will the survivors be able to defeat this new enemy and survive in this horror-apocalyptic world? Or will they succumb to the darkness and the endless terrors that lie ahead? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the fight for survival in this nightmarish world is far from over.